Hello, good morning. What is up? LB 6.5 just dropped. We've got 3 new servants coming with that. One of them is Roland, the other 2 Kriemhild and Charlemagne. Those are in other videos. But this one is about Roland. 4-star Saber in the permanent pool. Honestly, right up front, I'm very impressed with him. Can't wait to get into it, so here we go. Roland, again, 4-star Saber, permanent pool. He is double buster, double arts kit. His attack and HP ratio is skewed heavily towards HP. There's a reason for that. He has a job to do. He does it very well. 3 hits on the buster, 3 hits on the quick, and 2 hits on his arts card, 5 hits on the extra. You love to see that. Star weight's firmly in the middle of the road, right at 100. Lowest you'll see in the game is about 9. Highest you see about 209, so firmly in the middle. Star gen, 10% is not really going to like break the game open, but again, he has a different job to do, and he does it very well. We're going to talk about the Bond CE, though I find it very interesting. It's one of the more interesting arts in the game, but we will get into that later on. First up, let's take a look at his kit overall. Right here up front, you have an invincible on himself for 1 turn. This is a defense up for himself for a turn, 50 to 100%. It seems a little bit redundant. Not only is it invincible, but it's also defense up. But this basically means, hey, even if your enemy has ignore invincible, he's got a chance to come out on top. It's also a 10 to 20% NP battery, 6-turn cooldown on this. So it is a little bit steep when you consider that this is a 1-turn buff for the invincible and the defense up. However, it's not too bad, considering, again, there's a battery on it. People will be leveling this probably among the first of his skills. Because it does have the scaling battery on it. Going on to his second skill, it is a buster up for himself, 20 to 30% for 3 turns. He removes debuffs from himself, and he removes buffs from all enemies. Yeah. Yeah. You saw that right. I am kind of I'm kind of blown away by this skill, honestly. Again, it's buster up for 3 turns, 20 to 30%. He cleanses his own debuffs and he removes all buffs from all enemies. He also has debuff resist down for 3 turns by 50% against charm. Yeah. Again, this is just this crazy skill. It's so good, and it's on a 4-star permanent pool character. But yeah, very impressive, very impressive. On to the third skill right here. He does have a star bomb, 10 to 20 stars. This is a very good skill as well. I'm trying to get ahead of myself. 300 to 500% on the star weight. He does charge his NP by a flat 10%. We do like flat battery. This also has a 500 HP demerit. That's nothing because of the fact that his HP is sky high for a 4-star. This also only has a 3-turn cooldown. Roland is cracked. I'm going to be honest with you guys. People are going to have a lot of fun with Roland. 3-turn cooldown on this star bomb, 10 to 20 stars, the star weight, and a flat battery right here. Like, this is just a good kit. I'm sorry, I'm like geeking out, but this is just a good kit. To recap real quick, 1-turn invincible, 1-turn defense up, 10 to 20% battery. The battery does scale in the first skill. The second skill, buster up, 20 to 30%. Removes his own debuffs. Removes buffs from all enemies, and then you're not even going to notice this. This just doesn't even, it's whatever. On the third skill, again, the star bomb, the 3-turn cooldown, and the star weight on himself. Now, there is a little bit of something to note here when it comes to gameplay for Roland right off the bat. On his first skill, 6-turn cooldown, 5 turns of downtime on that. The second skill is also a 6-turn cooldown, but there's only 3 turns of downtime on that for the total effects, aka the buster. Now, this is very generous because you are removing all buffs from all enemies and you're cleansing debuffs from himself. So 6-turn cooldown is really, really generous on that. And then this one, obviously, a 3-turn cooldown is absurd. That's awesome. We love that. For a star bomb, for star weight up, for a scaling or non-scaling battery, I should say, like that's really, really good. So let's see how this plays into his NP, right? Over on his NP, ignore invincible for a turn. Attack up 20 to 40% scaling off overcharge. And then critical damage up for himself 20 to 40% for 3 turns. This dude's so good. 600 to 1,000% NP damage to 1 enemy. Roland is going to become a lot of people's best Saber. I'm going to be honest with you. He's going to become a lot of people's best Saber. He immediately catapults very high up an already stacked Saber pool, even when you consider the 4-star side of things. Barguest obviously is dominant in that regard. There's an amazing pool of 5-star Sabers. Somehow Roland is a new servant who's still going to hold his own. This is a very good servant, very strong servant. One thing to notice overall, yes, his scaling is ratioed towards HP over attack pretty heavily, but there's attack up 20 to 40% right here, 20 to 40% on the critical up. On the second skill, we saw Buster up 20 to 30%, so that's multiplicative damage right there. May not be a ton, but it's definitely going to help get the job done, especially considering he has Ignore Invincible on the NP. By the way, this is a turn, so if you are looking to do some Brave Chains, NP, Buster perhaps, you are going to have a good time stacking these stars up, getting the crit damage up on his NP going, and then going into further phase cards with the third skill in tow. The star weight up, the star bomb. I mean, the NP, it's all there. It's all there. Like, this is just a really solid kit. Taking a look at some of his passives, right? He does have riding because he is a knight class, right? Magic resistance, 20% debuff resist. That's built in. That's nice. His third append is anti-rider. I'm sure that will be explained in LB 6.5. I'm not going to even begin to speculate, but I'm sure that'll be discovered. It's nice that this is not like a disadvantage, right? So it's not like a cavalry class with anti-alter ego. It's not like an archer with anti-lancer or something like that, right? There's nothing like that going on. It's at least neutral, so if you want to use him against riders, there is a little bit more viability in that regard due to this append skill right here, right? On his materials down here, what you'll notice is that there are a new demand for materials right here. This is something I have not seen before, but Charlemagne and Roland both need it. Roland notably does not need this for his ascension. Charlemagne does, as we'll cover in the other video. But honestly, other than that, it's a fairly straightforward set of ascensions, right? You got the seeds, you got the proofs, like obviously, you know, the knight medals. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's all pretty intuitive. Now these right here, this is gonna set you back a lot. This is 60 worth for his skills, and as we've already seen, his skills are very much worth it. On the appends, it's much more straightforward from a previous playthrough perspective. You have access to all of these materials as it is, even as an NA player. So you can begin to stockpile those right now if you are really jazzed about Roland, right? I mentioned his Bond CE. Let's take a look at this real quick. If you know the story of Roland, or you know the Fate rendition of the stories of Roland, you know why this is funny. It's just a couple of legs hanging out in the sun. A sunny open field. Looks like a good day, I'm not gonna lie. It does give 8 stars per turn, and it is NP gain up of 10% on the field for the entire party, including reserve. Obviously, this is not something you're going to seek to use on him, simply because his kit is so good that you're going to want to supplement it the best that you can, really help him shine. This is just a really good servant. It's a really good servant. Like, he's extremely straightforward. There's really not a whole lot to just, like, kind of dissect here. He's just good. He's just good. All in all, this is just a good servant. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a really impressive servant. If you're thinking of summoning on the new banner, to get Roland, it's actually a pretty big win. Even notwithstanding the other 2 servants, Roland is just that good. He's just that good. I'm kind of blown away. He's a 4-star. He's a permanent. This is a very, as much as gacha can be, player-friendly implementation of a new servant, right? I'm excited to see what 6.5 holds. I'm excited for some of the other new servants that will come out later on from 6.5. We know of a couple already if you've played through it this morning. But, wow. Starting off with a bang here with Roland. Again, enjoy him. If you get him, you've got a great servant on your hand who is going to provide a ton of battlefield latitude to your gameplay. He's going to be a treat, honestly. He's going to be an absolute treat. So have fun farming those materials. That's going to be a little bit of a pain, getting 60 of those new materials per skill. But honestly, it's going to be worth it. When we talk about that, we talk about the skill ordering progression, right? Like, which one should we go first, second, third, right? This, again, has a scaling battery. Anytime we talk about which we should go with first for levels and skills, it's typically going to be your scaling battery that will come first, right? So 10 to 20%, not to mention it's a 6-turn cooldown. You want to get away from this 8-turn cooldown as quickly as possible. This is a single turn invincible and defense up. You got to get away from that. 7 turns of downtime on this is just not going to cut it. Same with these, if you can possibly help it. If you have Roland, you're going to want to get out of this territory just as quickly as you possibly can. Even 6 turns with 5 turns of downtime on these effects right here is a little bit steep, but he does make up for it with being pretty strong in the interim. One thing to note, though, you can pop the first skill and the third skill on turn 1 and still use them both when they're both off of cooldown, except you get to use this twice. Like, this is just that crazy of a skill. And because of that, I do recommend this being the second skill you level. 5 turns of cooldown is not bad, but because the stars do scale, you don't really need a ton of star weight up, because he is honestly right in the middle of the road at star weight of 100. Unless you're pairing him with a bunch of riders, in which case this is not going to be enough to take all of the stars away anyway, but it'll get most. It'll get you enough. The battery is not scaling, though, so there's not like a pressing need for this. One last thing, although this is not scaling, stripping all buffs from all enemies and cleansing debuffs from himself is a very, very, very powerful battlefield mechanic to have, right? It's extremely powerful to have this ready and waiting as much as you can get it, right? So it is 6 turns of cooldown, and you do have only 3 turns of downtime on the Buster up. It might be worthwhile to look into scaling your second and third skill congruently, possibly having them tied together, leveling them up at the same time as you go, as much as you can. Obviously, I would definitely give the edge to the third skill because of the Star Bomb, but overall, they're both very good, and this is not anything to slouch on either. The ability to strip all buffs from all enemies, you want that honestly as available as you can make it, and that's going to come with increasing the level on it as high as you can get it. So skill order priority, in my opinion, is going to be skill 1, skill 3, and then skill 2, but the gap between skill 3 and 2 is very, very small. And then obviously for skill 1, it's simply because of the scaling battery. So if you are using a scope on him, if you're using a lot of chargers around him, or if you're going a defensive route with defensive CEs more so than batteries, it may not be the right order for you, that 1-3-2, honestly. The 10 to 20% is not dramatic scaling, and because he does have invincible for a turn, the 50 to 100% defense up may not always be of use to you. Someone may not have ignore invincible, but not ignore defense, and therefore is hitting him this, that, or the other, right? Because of that, it is actually going to be situationally dependent based on how you discover that you are using Roland. The great thing is, because he does need so much of this new material, it is pretty steep at 60 per skill. It's going to give you a lot of time to kind of discover how you are using your Roland, and whether or not you want to chase down that increased battery on his first skill, or whether or not you are finding more utility out of the third skill, and possibly even second skill from a utility perspective. Overall, man, just a knockout servant. He's just so good. He's just good. I'm honestly blown away. If I really had to try and nitpick this guy's kit and say, well, I wish it had this, I wish it had that, I simply cannot. I'm going to be honest with you, I simply cannot. This is a little bit wonky right here. Maybe make this 2 turns with it scaling, I don't know, 30 to 70%. I'm honestly grabbing at straws. He's just that good. You really wouldn't change anything. This is a 5-star level skill here. Like, this is a limited SSR quality skill right here. Cleansing your own debuffs and removing all buffs from all enemies. Like, that's so good. And then not to mention on this third skill here, it's a Star Bomb with a 3-turn cooldown. Like, this guy's cracked in half. So if you are rolling on the banner and you are shooting for a 5-star, but you get Roland, congratulations anyway. You got a good one. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about Roland. Is there something you would have liked to see as part of his kit? Maybe something lore related. I understand that there might be some costume perspectives or maybe even NP animation perspectives to take into account here. These videos are simply gameplay and whether or not you should go for them, the quality of the servant, whether or not they're worth the bang for your buck. Roland is worth it and then some. Even at just NP1, Roland is worth it and then some. So feel free to chase this guy down while he is on rate up right now. Best of luck to you if you are rolling. Again, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on him, whether you got him or not. Also, obligatory, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the other videos or on twitch.tv/Sharkquado. Once again, thank you guys so much